Hello everyone, happy Friday. Welcome back to my channel. And if you are new here, my name is Layla. For today's video, we're going to be talking about this major student loan debt forgiveness update. All right. This isn't exactly the news that I wanted to deliver to y'all. And you probably, I'm going to pull up some articles. You've probably already heard the news if you have student loan debt or if you've been following this, waiting to see what is going to happen. Depending on which side you are of this debt relief plan, this is probably bad. It could be good or bad news, but for many people watching this, it's probably bad news. I woke up this morning to see an article. I searched student loans, and I see federal court strikes down Biden's student loan forgiveness program as the #1 article. As we all know, the student loan debt cancellation was already on hold, and that was because of 6 states who requested a stay so that none of the debt could be canceled yet. That has been the case since like late October, but this is completely different. This is not related to those 6 states. That stay was still in place. This new announcement actually just completely blocks Biden from any sort of cancellation of our student loan debt. And this was from a federal judge in Texas. His name is Mark Pittman. He declared this plan as unlawful, so they vacated it. They stopped this from happening. In Judge Pittman's order, he wrote that the program is, quote, an unconstitutional exercise of Congress's legislative power and must be vacated. Basically, what he's saying is instead of, Biden didn't go through Congress to do this. This was him trying to use the HEROES Act and saying that he was able to cancel debt because of the HEROES Act, which was that was put into place in 2003. Typically, something like this would go through Congress first, and there would be a whole process for something like this to get approved. So yeah, that's what he's saying there, is that this is something that should be going through Congress. And to be honest, if this were to go through Congress, it probably would never pass. It also says that he wrote in the order that this program is either, the program that the Biden administration announced is either one of the largest delegations of legislative power to the executive branch or one of the largest exercises of legislative power without congressional authority in the history of United States. The White House did appeal this ruling. The White House also emailed us. If you were part of that, you signed up for the emails, then you probably got an email from them this morning. Let me go to that. I got it at 3:30 in the morning, 3:28 a.m. This came from Miguel Cardona. He's the U.S. Secretary of Education, basically saying that they believe that this can still happen. They have appealed it. We are disappointed, blah, blah, blah. We will never stop fighting for the millions of hardworking students and borrowers across the country. The third thing is that they have stopped accepting applications. But if you have already applied, which it looks like about 26 million people have applied, over 26 million, they still have those applications, and there's been about 16 million people who have already been approved for the application. So if it was allowed, they could cancel those individuals' debt, but as of right now, that's just not gonna happen. Now, I prefer not to get into politics on my channel or ever. I just think it's something, I prefer not to talk about it. But I will say that the timing of this is very, very interesting. This is also exactly why before I was saying to not make any rash decisions. Sure, go ahead and get your refunds that you've paid throughout the pandemic, but do not spend that money. Just keep on holding on to it, save it, and wait for, this cancellation to actually go through and or for the payments to resume. This is also why I was not paying anything toward my student loans, why I just continued to save even though I technically had enough money I would be debt-free if I did get that cancellation, but I kept on saving because nothing was set in stone. And that leaves us with the question of what to do now. What action do we need to take now? And I just want to say that this decision is also not set in stone. So is it possible that cancellation will come back this year? Yes. Is it going to happen this year? Probably not. I don't think so. You know, the White House did appeal this, but that really, at this point, doesn't mean much. So kind of just going back to what happened, what I said before, what I said when this was first announced is just don't make any rash decisions. Same thing with this, because there's no reason to panic. We may not get our cancellation, but this wasn't something that we took out the money, you know? So we already knew this debt existed, and yes, it's super frustrating to be told and to get our hopes up that, you know, we're gonna have 20K of our debt canceled and how incredible and life-changing that would be, and then it's taken away from us, and that is so extremely frustrating and disheartening, discouraging, all the things, because I know for many people that meant we were going to be debt-free. I know for many people that would have been a huge relief. My opinion really doesn't matter on how they handled this, but I will say that I think it was extremely cruel to drag us through this, and for how long it took to get to this point, to open up the applications and everything, and then to hear this. I just wish all of this kind of happened in the background without any of us knowing. But again, this does tie in very heavily with the politics side of things. So yeah, I don't really know what else to say. It's just, it is what it is. And we can, do not panic. Don't make any rash decisions. If you requested your refund, I know many of you did. And if you haven't gotten your money yet, you will get your money. And probably before January, which is when we are supposed to start paying student loan debt back again. But that may be extended. I don't know. That's something that has not been announced yet. We're just gonna have to wait and see, just like with everything else. I do wish they would tell us, like, you know, if this happened, if this is blocked, if the student loan debt cancellation isn't gonna happen, I wish they would tell us, like, oh, but the forbearance is going to be extended again, or it's absolutely coming, like you have to pay your loans back starting in January. I don't know, they haven't announced that, so we'll just have to keep an eye out on that, but keep the money that you were refunded, keep that in savings, and it should be here by January. If we do need to start paying them back in January, then you will have that money saved, and you can either make monthly payments or make a lump sum payment if you prefer to. This doesn't mean that cancellation is off the table forever, maybe in the next couple of years. It could still happen this year. Again, I don't know. This is something that nobody knows, you know, this is all out of our control, and I'm just making assumptions that it's not going to happen this year. I don't think it's going to happen whatsoever, but it is possible. So if you wanted to pay off enough of your debt to where you have 20K left or 10K left, depending on what you're eligible for, and keep it at that, or just make monthly payments. But as of right now, there's just not enough information for us to make a concrete decision. And that's really it. That's the main advice I have for y'all. If you've been saving for your student loan debt, just like I have, keep on saving. We have about a month and a half until the forbearance is supposed to end, so we can still continue to save a decent chunk. And, you know, if you have a lump sum, it doesn't mean you have to make a lump sum payment in January. If you want to keep some of that money saved up and just make monthly payments, I think that's perfectly reasonable. Or if you want to make a lump sum on just the high interest loan debt that you have, or, you know, anything over 4% for student loans, I would say is fairly high. At least in my opinion. So you could pay off that amount and then just make monthly payments after that to see what happens. But just like before, just keep checking in. It looks like they have stayed on top of the emails that they promised. If you put in your application, then they do still have that. But at this point, I'm not expecting for this cancellation to happen whatsoever. So I'm just gonna keep on saving and pay it off myself. That was the situation before the announcement. I never really expected a cancellation to happen. I just thought, I definitely thought that was part of, you know, getting votes. When he was initially running, it was very exciting to think like, oh, I'm going to be debt-free in 2022, but that's just not the reality right now, and it's okay. The articles that I was reading off of, I will link those down below. If you have any questions, please feel free to leave those down below. As I always say, I don't know if I can answer them, but I can try my best. Also, if you want to share your opinion, thoughts, feelings about this, please feel free to comment that as well. Thank you so much for watching. Please give this video a thumbs up and subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you in my next video.